This is the second video in our series of 7 that pays tribute to the men and women of our police force who have lost their lives in the line of duty. There are 21 police memorials in the London area, and this series will look at all of them in chronological order, 3 per video. If I've missed any that you think should be included, please accept my apologies and let me know in the comments. In this second video of our series, we will look at 2 incidents in which officers lost their lives to the actions of the IRA. But first we will look at one of the most infamous crimes in British history, one which would lead to calls to routinely arm British policemen with guns. The crime was so horrific that there was also talk of ending the plans to abolish the death penalty. This is the story of the massacre of Braybrook Street. This is the memorial to PS Christopher Head, DC David Wombwell and PC Geoffrey Fox. I'm in Braybrook Street in southwest London. Braybrook Street is a residential road opposite a large green area and runs adjacent to the notorious Wormwood Scrubs prison. Christopher Head was aged 30, single and lived at a police section house. David Wombwell was 25 and was married with 2 young children. Geoffrey Fox was 41 and was also married with 3 children. It was 3 PM in the afternoon and the 3 officers were in plainclothes and were on patrol in an unmarked police car when they spotted a van parked in Braybrook Street. Due to the proximity of the prison, any vehicle parked up, especially one with men sitting inside, would be suspicious for fear of it being used for a getaway in the event of an escape. Additionally, the vehicle did not have its tax disc displayed, which was a legal requirement at the time, furthering the officers' suspicions. The officers decided to question the occupants. The 3 men inside the vehicle, the driver, John Whitney, a known local criminal, John Duddy, a Scottish lorry driver, and Harry Roberts, a former soldier and career criminal, had just taken part in an armed robbery and were pausing to collect themselves. The officers pulled over and PS Head and DC Wombwell got out of the car to interview the occupants of the van, leaving PC Fox, who was driving, behind in the police car. PS Head asked about the absence of the tax disc and requested to see Whitney's driving licence. Head then walked around to the other side of the van, leaving DC Wombwell next to the driver's window. Harry Roberts, sitting in the passenger seat of the van, pulled out a gun and shot DC Wombwell straight in the head, killing him instantly. PS Head, upon hearing the gunshot, started to run back towards his police car, but was now pursued by Roberts, still firing 2 more shots, the second of which hit PS Head, mortally wounding him. John Duddy had also got out of the van, pulled out his own gun and went after PC Fox in the police car, shooting him 3 times through the car window. Roberts also fired his own shots at PC Fox. As PC Fox died, his foot jerked down on the accelerator and he drove forward over the dying body of PS Head. The 2 men jumped back into the van with Whitney and the 3 of them made their getaway from the crime scene, driving down Wolfstand Street. Fortunately, a passerby hearing the gunshots made a note of the registration plate of the vehicle as it sped away. The van was still registered to Whitney and he was arrested a few hours later, confessing his involvement and naming his 2 accomplices. John Duddy had fled back to his native Glasgow, but was arrested a few days later after having been reported to police by his brother. Harry Roberts went on the run and managed to evade arrest for 3 months, using his military training and sleeping rough in forests until being arrested on the 15th of November 1966. The trial only lasted 6 days. Whitney and Duddy pleaded not guilty to murder, but were found guilty by the jury after just half an hour's deliberation. Roberts pleaded guilty, and all 3 men were sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 30 years each. John Duddy died in prison in 1981. John Whitney was released from prison in 1991, under some controversy, having only served 25 years. In an ironic twist of fate, he was murdered in 1999 by a man he shared a flat with. Harry Roberts, the most well-known of the trio, became one of Britain's longest-serving prisoners. He served 48 years in prison, 18 years longer than his minimum term, and was released in 2014 at the age of 78. At the time of producing this video in 2022, Harry Roberts is still alive and is a free man. This is the memorial to PC Stephen Tibble. I'm in West Kensington at the junction of Charleville Road and Gledstanes Road. Stephen Tibble was actually off duty at the time of his death. Another plainclothes officer, Adrian Blackledge, had accosted a man who he believed to be acting suspiciously in nearby Fairholme Road and attempted to search him. The man resisted and ran off towards Charleville Road with Blackledge in pursuit. A motorcyclist passing by, who we now know to be Stephen Tibble, drove past the men, jumped off his bike and tried to block the fleeing man's path. The man, Provisional IRA member Liam Quinn, pulled out a gun as he approached Stephen Tibble and shot him in the chest at point-blank range and then ran off. Blackledge dropped down to assist Tibble, and it was only then that he discovered he was not a member of the public, but rather an off-duty officer when Tibble identified himself with his dying breaths. The murder was part of a number of IRA attacks on the capital during 1974 and 1975, including the bombing of the Tower of London and the Houses of Parliament, and it culminated in the siege of Braybrook Street, where 4 IRA members held a couple hostage in a flat in Marylebone for nearly a week, with the police finally managing to negotiate a peaceful surrender. The flat that Quinn was staying at, near to where he shot PC Tibble, was found to be a bomb factory used by the active IRA unit responsible for the attacks during that time. The members of the Braybrook Street gang, including Liam Quinn, each received life sentences, serving 23 years in prison, but were released in 1999 as part of the Good Friday Agreement. The last memorial on this video will tell another story of a brave officer who tragically lost his life during this bombing campaign. This is Kensington Church Street, and I'm here to visit the memorial to Captain Roger Goad, who was killed on the 29th of August 1975 as a result of the bombing campaign by the active IRA unit who were also responsible for the death of PC Tibble in the previous video. Roger Goad was actually part of the Met Police explosive unit, having retired from the army a year earlier. He was responding to a public report of a suspicious package that had been left in a doorway along Kensington Church Street. The public were on high alert to suspicious packages due to the number of bombings that had occurred in the previous months in the capital. The IRA unit, who later became infamous for the Braybrook Street siege in December 1975, had placed a bomb in the doorway of a shoe shop, and as Captain Goad attempted to defuse the bomb, it exploded, killing him instantly. He was 40 years old and married with 2 children. Sadly, he would not be the last bomb disposal expert to be killed whilst trying to defuse a device in London. The next video in this series will look at an officer killed in one of the busiest areas of London, Oxford Street, the murder of an officer that prompted the founding of the Police Memorial Trust, and a terrorist attack so horrific even the terrorist organisation themselves regretted it afterwards. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to see the 3rd video in this series, and don't forget to check out the other videos on the Offbeat London channel.